Okay, hello my friends, my name is Darren Gerdes. This is the Daily Brief. If you're looking for Ukraine war news, I do these every day, and then I do three big stories in the evening, and that's kind of a daily rhythm. Please subscribe if you are interested. Let's start here. There's 1,260 Russians off the battlefield just today, almost 50,000 since a little over a month ago. It's about 5 weeks ago is when they crossed over the 500,000 threshold for Russians off the battlefield. 11 tanks, 18 armored combat vehicles, 66 artillery, and 76 vehicles and fuel tanks. But there's also plus 9 cruise missiles. Yeah, so that's what's been happening in Ukraine in the last 24 hours or so. Ukraine air defense eliminates 24 out of 27 enemy Shahed drones. So a few got through. Last night, Sky Defenders managed to hit 24 Shahed drones. The enemy launched 27. They didn't say anything about missiles, and missiles have been causing a good deal of grief in Ukraine. Russian attacks kill 8, injure 28 in Ukraine's east. So here we're talking about like glide bombs that they'll be launching from a plane from some distance. They take old bombs, put on some wings on them, and let them glide a good distance. They can many kilometers into whatever destruction they're trying to cause. 5 people were killed, 8 injured. 2 Russian glide bombs struck the town of Seldov west of Russian-controlled city of Donetsk. And then in another incident separately, Russian troops dropped 3 glide bombs on the village of Komar further southwest. And this is what they do on the front line side of this equation. Now, I was talking about Chavar yesterday. It's not fallen yet. It will probably in some time. I think that's a fair assessment, but it hasn't yet. And it's really interesting to think about just how much effort has gone into this. Russian forces took 3 months and thousands of lives to capture the Canal neighborhood in Chavar. Since the start of the campaign to seize the city, the Russians have lost 99,000 personnel, mostly wounded, but a lot of dead as well. Okay, so but that 99,000 personnel goes back to this with the total number of personnel. So it's not 99,000 there. That wouldn't be a fair assessment, but they've lost a lot. And wounded and dead trying to take this small little patch of real estate. Now remember, it took them months, almost upwards of a year, not a year, but upwards of the lion's share of a year just to take Bakhmut. Now over on this side, this is land that was formerly occupied and has been occupied for some time, and then this is kind of newly taken land over since the 2022 invasion. And Bakhmut it took them so long to get there, and in Chavar it's taken them many months, and they still haven't actually taken, well, they've destroyed, but they haven't actually taken all of it, but they've just kind of decimated the land there. And what they've pulled out of was land that they couldn't actually hold on to because there's really no shelter because the buildings are decimated now. Okay, Zelensky says this: our people continuously suffer from Russian terror. This week alone, Russia has used over 600 guided aerial bombs, more than 60 Shahed drones, and nearly 40 missiles of various types. We have significantly strengthened our air defense shield this week thanks to Germany and the United States. Ukraine's patriots will prove their worth even more in countering Russian terror. However, to protect all of our cities and villages, to truly overcome it, we need more concrete decisions. Next week, we will work with our partners for such decisions. Preparations are already underway. What's he talking about there? Well, he's probably talking about the NATO conference because that's coming up very shortly. This coming week, we'll see the 75th anniversary of NATO conference in Washington, D.C. In the meantime, enemy hits energy infrastructure in the Sumy region, and they've been hitting everywhere in Ukraine. The idea here is to force Ukrainians to have to be miserable and maybe revolt against Zelensky. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to only cause them to be more attached firmly to the Ukrainian government and hate Russia even more for what Russia is inflicting upon Ukraine. Zelensky is talking about we need real decentralization in Ukraine's energy potential. So I showed you this huge power plant just about a week ago that was destroyed by Russian missiles. And if you have a number of those, let's say you have 50 of those around the country. Well, now you have 50 really big targets. But what if you could decentralize your energy into very small, maybe neighborhood-like size energy producing facilities? That would be very difficult to attack and very cost prohibitive to attack with these big missiles. He said this: "We are working to expand all electricity imports from the EU to Ukraine. That's not going to be enough, but it'll be supplementing. At the same time, full assistance is needed for communities, for people, for companies, for business. And so new generating capacities can be created locally, and real decentralization of Ukraine's energy potential extended to the whole state takes place." And I think that's what's going to happen. Saw an article in the Wall Street Journal just yesterday, no, not Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, which was talking about how, well, a silver lining is that Ukrainian energy will be green energy because it has to be, as this is destroyed. That's hardly a silver lining, but it is probably going to be more green, and it certainly will be more decentralized on the other side. Ukraine war briefing: more Russian oil depots burn in drone attacks, and the Ukrainians are after them. Oil depots in Russia's Krasnodar region were burning after drone attacks over Friday night, reports said. Cellular communications tower was hit as well. But these attacks on oil. So Russia's going after the energy grid in Ukraine, and Ukraine is going after oil. And these are the strikes. It's pretty impressive to see. According to this infographic, the deepest strike was 1,800 kilometers. Like, this is where they're going with these long-range strikes from Ukraine. And it's pretty impressive what their capabilities are. And it's going to be really impressive to see what their abilities are going to be as they create more and more homegrown drones. Russian media footage: the aftermath of Ukrainian drone strike on an oil depot in Krasnodar region. There were two apparently yesterday. Oil facility in Leningradska, Krasnodar region. Russia is still burning. Locals have to close windows, and NASA has confirmed this on the map. Switching gears, let's talk about some politics here. Bulgaria will propose to start peace talks between Russia and Ukraine at the NATO summit. I'm not sure what to even think of this yet. Bulgaria has not been a strong supporter, but it hasn't really indicated a lot of support or sympathy for Russia. Somebody who is going to help with peace talks has to be a real honest broker, and I'm not sure if this qualifies. Okay, intelligence update. This was from a few days ago. I talked about this, about the VPNs being taken off the App Store the other day. So this is the British intelligence update. According to Russia Independent Media, on 4 July 2024, at the request of the Russia communications regulator, Roskomnadzor, several virtual private network VPN applications were removed from the Russian version of the App Store. This follows previous removals of VPN apps in 2022 and 2023. They gained this power to block access to VPN services without reference to a court in March 2024. They justified the ban due to the apps containing content illegal in Russia. Well, what's illegal in Russia? This is almost certainly intended to restrict the ability of Russian citizens to access independent Russian and international media, as well as to simplify the ability of security services to monitor Russian citizens. So that's what's going on. They're just doubling down on their authoritarian positions. Okay, so I was looking for memes. I found this. Have you boosted a fundraiser today? Do it. Hugs. Budanov. Well, probably Budanov. Thought that was kind of funny. But when I was looking at this, I was thinking, oh yeah, you know, I've been talking about Pete's fundraiser for the last few days. Here's Project Tatiana. If you want to donate to Pete's last fundraiser, he was working on equipping an entire unit with what they needed. This is dearest friends of the Project Constantine, the 67th Brigade. We're starting our most ambitious fundraising campaign that we're looking at 320,000 pounds. That's $400,000 US. And they've raised, as of yesterday, when I talked about this yesterday morning, 80,000. Let's see where they are right now. I'm going to refresh in real time. And so they're now up to 88,000 of that 320,000 pounds. And so but now I'm putting the link below, and I want you to put the just use the actual link. They had the funeral service, and Greg Terry was streaming much of this today, and he was saying this, and I hope you can hear it. I'm going to play this.
Got enough mess going on with people trying to take advantage of Peter. Ladies and gentlemen, please hear me here. If you are seeing stuff out there about Peter Fouché, and it's not coming from Yana, Project Constantine, it's not coming from me, it's not coming from Rick the Ukrainian, it's not approved. There are no other things going on. There are no fundraisers and all of this mess. People are trying to take advantage of him. And it's not going to happen. So thank you for helping us protect that.
Okay, so you heard what Greg had to say. So if you want to donate to Pete, make sure that you are donating to the right place. See this link here? It is donorbox.org project-TETYANA. I will put that in the links below. So make sure you're doing that if you're donating. If you also want to see more of what I just showed you, go to @GregTerryExperience and you can find that here. You can also see Peter Fouché's celebration of life at the church in Kyiv. Okay, last thing I'll leave you with, live stream. I just concluded with my members this morning, my members and patrons, and it was very focused because trolls weren't trying to wreak havoc. It was a smaller group. We had some great question and answers. You can watch it, but only members and patrons could actually ask the questions at the time. So please do if you want to be more informed about what's going on. So thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.